Hi, my name is Shauna Heidecker. I'll be presenting to you a couple of short videos of our cloud platform. Our platform is used by enterprises around the globe to help them support their communications lifecycle. I'm going to start here in video 1 with an overview of how the platform is laid out, and I will move on to a high-level overview of how we implement the system and set it up to meet each client's needs. Then, in video 2, I will be covering the Overview tab and the functionality that it has. In video 3, I will be covering the Invoice tab. And in video 4, I will be covering the Inventory tab. Video 5 will cover the Contract tab and the Savings tab. In video 6, we will cover the Analyze tab. And then in video 7, we will be covering the Provisioning tab. Finally, video 8 will cover the Service Desk tab. My goal is that by the end of this 8-video series, you will have a good understanding of the software that you are currently evaluating. So, let's get started. As I just mentioned in the introduction, we're going to be covering the different tabs in detail throughout this video series. First, we're going to be covering the Overview tab. As you can see here, it's laid out based on client needs, specific to who I've logged in as. The Invoice tab is very much what it says it is. At the top, we're looking at the invoices. Underneath this main tab, there are 5 sub-tabs about the system itself, and then a summary of reports for this tab. Again, in a later video, we're going to go through the detail of each one of these sub-tabs, but each one of our major tabs, what I call our master tabs throughout the system, have the ability to do filtering based on information that's being provided on the screen, as well as filtering lower down on types of services, sites, whatever you're viewing. You're able to filter that information and quickly export it out of the system. This allows our clients to have an easy view of the information in particular that they're looking for. So how does this all work? How do we get started? With each implementation that we provide to our clients, it's very specific to their environment, based on what they need to see, how they need to see it, and roles-based access. So our setup procedure is very detailed, but very simple on the client aspect. This allows us to provide configurability for the client, things that are configured specific to their environment versus what somebody else might do. We're able to manage users and manage roles. This is one of the most basic portions of the setup for our particular environment. This allows us to quickly create a role, and with that role, create a template, who they are, what that means. So we can go in and we can add items to this, allow them to see specific things throughout the system based on their role within the corporation. So we can quickly configure all portal modules. They can see everything that I just showed you on the last screen, or we're able to choose and pick certain things that are specific to their role within the corporation. We may be talking about an engineer who needs to have access to provisioning, has to have access to Service Desk, does not need to see invoices and savings opportunities, doesn't really need to see the contract information, and doesn't need an overview of the entire system on what's in it. What's really important to an engineer may be the inventory that's already in the system, the ability to see the tickets that are being created from the provisioning system, which all comes together on the Service Desk, or the ability to see provisioning, the actual move, add changes, and deletes. So I'm now starting this configuration for this particular person. Each one of our modules, as I mentioned earlier, our master tabs have sub-tabs, sub-modules that will affect them. So we're able to, based on what we've chosen for information for that particular role in the company, to view other areas, to show them their sites, services, IT assets, telecom grids, whatever information we need to share with this particular person in the company, we're able to configure that during the implementation period so that they only have a view of what's important to them and only have access that's important to them within the corporation. This is one of the many areas where we're setting up different items with the client in mind. Service configurations are another area where we have a lot of customized fields, a lot of ability to configure it to meet that specific client's needs. If you look here, we have custom fields, 12 of them created for an EVPN as an example. These are fields where the client wanted to gather information around data car or voice car or the POP name that's associated with it, whatever is important to you as a client to track for information. We're looking to gather this in this area. As you can see, there's even more around an MPLS. There's a lot of information and a lot of configurability within the system so that we can meet each client's specific needs around information that they want to gather and that they're going to want to report on. Some other areas where we have a lot of configurable fields and the ability to match a client's process is workflow, invoice workflows, and procurement workflows. These areas are very specific to each client and how they want it set up. So if I were to select this demo environment that I'm looking at right here, and I want to go into a procurement workflow and edit that, I'm able to, right through here as the administrator, come in and expand the number of steps for the ticket workflow, add information in the system. So if you as a corporation need to have an accounts payable step of approval, we're able to add that in the system, add the users that would affect that particular step, add the length of time that they're allowed to have to complete this step. It could be 24 hours, it could be 1 hour, it could be 48 hours. Again, this is all based on the client's needs. And then the emails that are going to go out. What is that email going to say? The design of it, the HTML, the preview of it. As you can see, this is blank. This is allowing me to create a whole new email for this particular step. If we go into one of the other steps that's already been configured, it allows you to see who's going to be receiving that information, what is the subject line of that information going to be, the HTML of it, as well as a preview of the actual email. What is it going to look like when that user receives that email for that particular step within their provisioning cycle? So the flexibility within the system is something that you'll hear me stress throughout these different videos that we're going to be taping, and that's very, very important for the client to understand. With the ability for us to quickly add and change things and having the administration functions be very easy to configure, it allows each customer to have a very, very custom feel to their software and how they're going to manage it, their particular environment. As I mentioned earlier, I will be covering in video 2 the overview tab and the functionality it has. At this point, though, thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.